Hello and welcome. India's successes on the software services side are well known, but not so well known perhaps on the product side. And there's good reason for that. There are not too many Indian software or IT products which have really managed to stake a claim in the global arena. That's changing, and there are several reasons for that. One is that there is focus from the industry. There is a new body called iSpirit which is focusing on it, and there are people who are finding opportunities to create products which they are able to place and distribute far more easily than ever before. I'm going to talk to someone who's been working on this as from an academic point of view, and also perhaps has views from a more hands-on point of view, being a founder of iSpirit. I'm joined by Rishikesha T Krishnan, who is a professor of corporate strategy and policy at IIM Bangalore and soon to be director of IIM Indore. Professor, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
So I've given you a long introduction. So I think the point is that someone like you, who's now viewing this or studying this academically, is also now has a foot in iSpirit, which is the sort of breakaway body from NASSCOM for product services or other products, suggests that there is scope for this approach of building products and and really selling them in the global marketplace. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so if you look back at the history of the Indian software industry, Indian companies got well known in the services space. Mm-hmm. There were reasons for that. Entry in the services space was much lower cost. The risks involved were much lower. There were good market opportunities. As you know, we started more with a body shopping model. And that was again quite amenable to services. So that's been the story of the Indian software industry for the last 20 years or so. There were, of course, some efforts at making products, but these never became very prominent. And there have been, of course, some local successes like Tally, which sort of dominates the accounting space. But these have been few and far between. However, there have been some important changes that have happened in the recent years, which are suddenly now making the product space more attractive and also improving the chances that India can do well in products. The first of these is that increasingly many products don't need to be shrink wrapped and physically delivered. They can be delivered over the cloud. And with the ubiquitous nature of the cloud, that means you can service clients anywhere in the world. Some companies from India, and I could give Fusion Charts as an example, have found a niche. In their case, it's data visualization, and have used the cloud as an efficient mechanism of delivering these data visualization solutions. So it's been kind of demonstrated now that you can be a product company in India. If you have a niche and you understand that business very well, you can become very good at that, and you can service clients the world over.
Right.
So examples such as Fusion Charts have now inspired a number of people to think that, maybe we can actually do a product business from India. The second important driver for the product business that I see at the moment is that thanks to the large number of multinational R&D centers that were set up over the last 20 years or so, we now have a critical mass of engineering talent who knows what it takes to make a good product. And many of these people now, having worked for multinationals for several years, built up some capital of their own, they are now looking at how do we do something different. So we are seeing a large number of them coming out of those companies, trying to get into the product space. And we also have now some talent pool that's worked in those companies, so they're bringing some of those people out as well. So that's another important driver of the product activity. So all of these phenomena combined, and the fact that there is also a pretty good market opportunity. I mean, these numbers are of course always a bit fuzzy, but people say that there's even a $1 trillion opportunity in products. Of course, I mean that's a very large number. But even if we don't worry about that 1 trillion, there are enough niches and opportunities to do much better in the product space today.
Right. And where is the energy coming from? Is it from young people who are starting new enterprises? Is it older companies who are now looking back and saying that can we create products? I mean, is it really so? And to some extent, where is the next big product or set of products going to come from?
I don't think there's a single answer to that. I think we are seeing various groups of people getting into this. One I just mentioned to you is the multinational crowd. Of course, there are lots of young people into startups who are also looking at the product space. One important driver of this again is the fact that with the mobile becoming the means of choice of Indian consumers to access the internet and various other things, there are lots of product opportunities which may not be big products, but they're maybe more closer to apps and things like that, which again are servicing the mobile market. So I think it's a combination of both. We have these the startup energy which is coming from the young engineers and people coming out of college, and there's the slightly more mature experienced group which is coming out of the multinationals, and hopefully we'll see these two groups working together, and that would be able to drive the product space well.
So let me ask you the flip question. So suppose I'm a young engineer who wants to start up a product company. I think what you've defined so far is the good news, right? The distribution, the creation, the cloud, and all of that. What do I need to be concerned about, or what should I be thinking about, or what are the mistakes I should not be making?
I think here, rather than dwelling too much on the mistakes, let me talk about a couple of initiatives we are taking in iSpirit, which are helping make this product ecosystem more vibrant. And indirectly, they'll answer the question you are posing. So one thing we realized in iSpirit is that we need to help people understand what are the challenges in sales and marketing of products. Because India doesn't have a great history in products, so this whole product management function is not a very well developed function. And we also realize that we do have some number of people in India though who have experience. So can we link the people with experience to the guys who are just starting up? And we have one of the concepts we have in iSpirit is this concept of a playbook, which is essentially saying we've got to really get people to learn by doing and connect the experienced people with the younger people. So there's a great initiative which is being run by Avinash Raghav and others, which essentially is creating a whole lot of these regular events across all the major software centers in India.
It's a Product Nation.
Product Nation, where we link the young guys who are starting up with more experienced entrepreneurs and arrange some kind of a transfer of learning to those people. The second thing we realized is that though of course the global market is always an opportunity, we should also be addressing Indian market opportunities, because being located in India, clearly we should have superior insight into Indian market needs, and if we can find product opportunities which meet Indian customer needs, then Indian companies will be better off to exploit those. So we have another initiative in iSpirit called ISMB, which is essentially trying to link product companies to the SME market. Why are we trying to do this? Because the SME market needs IT to make its business more efficient. The SME market can't afford customized software, nor does it have the expertise and the time to work with a software service provider to get a solution. So ideally, SMEs should be using products, but many of the existing products don't meet the needs of Indian SMEs. So how do we create a connect between product companies and SMEs so that the SMEs get the right products? And the other concern that SMEs often have is this a good quality product? Or is this a sales guy just trying to push some product that I don't need on me? So we are also trying to look at how can we certify some of these product companies to ensure that the products they're making are of high quality and meet the needs of that SME group. So we have a huge initiative now, which is the ISMB Connect program, which is essentially trying to link the product companies and the SMEs. It's trying to educate the SMEs on what they should be looking for. It's trying to help the product companies in terms of understanding the market better. We are also trying to bring in some certification mechanisms. Essentially, we are doing a kind of market making effort to make this thing work better.
Right. So when it comes to the Indian market, what are the areas you feel that there could be more products which people could be working on? From what you've seen in, let's say, the last year that you've been working on this.
No, I think strangely enough, it's many of the traditional areas, even in things like the basic business software, which one would have thought would be a well penetrated and exploited market by now. It's like, one of the areas we've been working with in ISMB is with jewelry sellers, with the jewelry companies. And we found that often they are still worried about very basic things. They want to know about inventory. They want to be able to make sure that, because theft is a big issue for them. If they've lost something, they need to know as quickly as possible. So they're still talking about fairly basic business functions like sourcing, inventory, billing, and things like that. But they don't perceive that the existing solutions are what they need for their business.
And because they're not customized sufficiently, or they just don't exist?
See, either because there are existing products from outside India which are not kind of sensitive to the Indian context, or because these guys have not been able to use whatever is available in the right way. So I think it's a mix of all these things, but essentially the jewelry sellers for themselves, for example, not very IT savvy. So they need hand holding, but it becomes very expensive for a services company to work intensively with them. So you need essentially you need products developed to meet those local needs.
Right, and thus forth, I guess you would see the creation of a new red bus or the next red bus.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see. You're going to see a whole lot of companies, but we think it will probably be a bit more focused. It will probably be a bit more driven by a particular niche of customers. So that you can't be customizing for each customer, but you at least want to customize for a generic segment so that you have enough market size to be able to justify the product development.
Right. So a traditional weakness, for instance, has been, let's say, the marketing and the visualization of the product and the way it's presented and all of that. Of course, online, there's no physical attribute to it, but surely there is a look and feel and all the subtleties and the finer stuff.
Sure.
What's your sense on how people should be approaching that? I mean, I'm talking about, again, young people who might be watching this and wanting to.
I think that's an interesting point you raised, because you're right. Traditionally, maybe there was not a great area of strength for India. But I think there's some good things happening. One is that design as a discipline is becoming more prominent in Indian education institutions. We have several new design programs running. Many of these design programs do have a UI interface design as one of the areas of specialization. Companies like Fusion Charts that I mentioned earlier have shown that Indian companies can work quite effectively in that space. So, and even the multinationals whom I mentioned earlier, many of them do have UI people in their teams. So, hopefully, a lot of this will also seep into the companies we are talking about.
Right. So, just to sort of conclude now, I mean, you're going to be taking up a new assignment. Does that mean that you'll leave this world behind and build something else?
That's a good question. I hope not. But on the other hand, to be realistic, managing a national level institution is not going to be a part-time activity. It has to be a full-time activity. But I'm hoping that since a lot of this is network activity where it's a lot about ideas and discussion, I'm hoping I can continue to contribute to that debate.
And is there any one or two specific things that you'd like to bring into your new role at Indore?
Well, as you know, I've been working a lot in the area of innovation. And one of the challenges in a lot of innovations is to not the ideas themselves, but to make them work. So I think one thing I'll definitely have to bring to an institution like IIM Indore is a strong emphasis on not only ideation, but executing the ideas well so that we can get maximum benefit from those ideas.
Right. Professor, thank you very much and all the very best.
Thank you, Govind. Pleasure to talk to you.